When you're hired to pet sit, you expect barking dogs or mischievous cats, not shadowy figures in mirrors, glowing red eyes in the dark, or footsteps in empty hallways. But sometimes, it's not the pets you have to worry about, it's the house itself. If you're a fan of chilling, real-life horror stories that keep you awake at night, Horror Radio is exactly where you need to be. On this channel, the scariest and most unbelievable true experiences are brought to life, from haunted houses to inexplicable encounters. Horror Radio is where every story will leave your heart racing. Are you ready to face the darkness? Story 1. Footsteps in the Old House. A few years ago, I was hired to pet sit a German Shepherd for a wealthy family. Their house was massive, old, and filled with antique furniture and paintings that seemed to watch your every move. When the family left, the house became eerily silent. Even the ticking of the clock sounded unnervingly loud in the stillness. Around midnight, while I was watching TV in the living room, I heard footsteps upstairs. At first, I thought it was the dog, but when I glanced over, he was sound asleep on the couch beside me. My blood ran cold. I tried to convince myself it was just the creaking of an old house, but then the footsteps grew louder. Grabbing a flashlight, I cautiously headed upstairs. As soon as I stepped onto the landing, the sound stopped. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of my shaky breaths. One of the bedroom doors was slightly ajar. I was sure I had closed all the doors earlier. I pushed the door open. The room was empty, but a doll that had been on the bed earlier was now lying on the floor. I didn't touch it. I just backed out of the room and stayed downstairs for the rest of the night. The next morning, when the family returned, I told the homeowner what had happened. He gave me a strange smile and said, "That was our daughter's room. She passed away years ago, but sometimes it feels like she's still here." I never went back. Story 2. The red eyes in the dark. A few months ago, I was hired to look after a cat for an elderly woman. She lived in a small old house filled with outdated furniture and fading wallpaper. Her cat, a quiet gray tabby, was affectionate and spent most of its time curled up near the heater. But from the very first night, I felt something was off about the house. That evening, while I was sitting on the couch, the cat suddenly sat upright and stared intently at a dark corner of the room. At first, I thought it might have seen a bug or a shadow, but its gaze was unblinking. Then it started hissing, its fur standing on end. I shone a flashlight into the corner, but found nothing there. Trying to shake off the unease, I went to bed, but around midnight, I woke to the sound of faint footsteps in the hallway. They were soft and slow, coming closer to my room. I turned on the light, but the hallway was empty. As I turned the light off again, I saw them, two glowing red eyes staring at me from the corner of the room. I froze, unable to scream or move. The eyes stared for what felt like an eternity before vanishing into the darkness. The next morning, I told the elderly woman what had happened. She simply shrugged and said, "Oh, that's nothing to worry about. My cat often sees things we can't. The house is old." I never returned. Story 3. The haunted bathroom. One week, I agreed to take care of 2 dogs in a large, isolated villa. The dogs were energetic and friendly, and I thought it would be an easy job. But from the second night, things began to feel wrong. That evening, one of the dogs began barking furiously at the bathroom door. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was just being playful, but the barking grew louder, more frantic. When I walked over, the dog was clawing at the door, growling. I opened the door and was met with a strange smell, something damp and metallic. The bathroom was empty. Everything seemed normal, but the dog refused to go near it. I brushed it off and went to bed, but a few hours later, I woke to the sound of running water. I got up and found the bathroom light flickering, and the faucet was fully turned on. Steam filled the room, as though someone had just taken a hot shower. As I turned off the water, I saw something in the mirror, a faint shadow, moving behind me. Spinning around, I found nothing. When the homeowners returned, I hesitantly shared what had happened. The owner smiled grimly and said, "Oh, I forgot to mention, someone died in that bathroom years ago. Just make sure to always keep the door locked." That was the last time I ever agreed to pet sit for anyone. As the nights grow longer and the shadows seem to stretch endlessly, one question remains. How much of what we call imagination is truly unreal? What if the things that go bump in the night are closer than we dare to believe? These were just 3 stories from countless chilling experiences. But the real question is, how would you react if it happened to you? If you crave more spine-tingling tales of true terror, don't forget to subscribe to Horror Radio, where every story will leave you questioning what's real and what isn't. Stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, some houses don't just hold memories, they hold something far darker.